I'm Jess Sargis, high-performance speaker, certified mental performance mastery coach, and your guide to mastering your mental game. I went from Ivy League trained attorney to undefeated MMA fighter and back again. Now I help high achievers in any field live with fierce agency, deep alignment, and the power to win consistently when it matters most. You can do it all when you train your mindset, energy, and focus like elite athletes. That's why this is the Legal Athlete Podcast, where each week I use neuroscience, performance psychology, and real-world battle-tested strategies to help you unlock sustainable excellence, bold decisions, and the courage to show up each day as the badass you are. Green light. Let's go. Welcome back to the Legal Athlete Podcast. I am so excited to bring you today's episode. I'm your host, Jess Sargis, and today I'm going to be speaking with Bettina Altizer. Now, Bettina is the founder, owner, and president of Altizer Law PC, and at the ripe old age of 3, that's when she made a decision to become a lawyer. Fighting for others who have been wronged and hurt at the careless hands of another was her calling. But long before Bettina was a champion inside the courtroom, she dominated the sport of powerlifting. She is a multiple world champion and world record holder and was considered the strongest powerlifter during her competitive career. She brings that same champion spirit to the courtroom and is fiercely committed to providing excellent legal counsel to her clients. And one of her passions, like mine, is applying her expertise in sport, health, well-being, and flow performance to the practice of law. She's dedicated to human optimization and exploring advanced methods in law and trial advocacy. In fact, her journey focuses on developing a trial methodology that empowers optimized lawyers to fully leverage their abilities to influence and persuade. And that's why I am so excited to be talking with Bettina this week, because she and I are going to have a conversation about the really exciting 3-day workshop that we're putting on together in just a couple weeks, September 10th through 13th, at the Henderson Beach Resort in Destin, Florida, for the Society of Women Trial Lawyers. I'm really hoping that you will enjoy this conversation. We'll be talking about what's going to go on during this retreat, which is really an advance. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the underpinnings, why this should matter to you. And if you're a woman trial lawyer or even a woman in-house counsel and you're interested in firing up your practice, this is an episode you won't want to miss. Good morning, Bettina. It's so good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. How are you?
I am terrific.
Okay.
I really am.
You always are. You always are.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
No one is. No one is. But luckily, that is not a requirement for being a badass.
That's right.
You're there in the good and the bad and the ugly. So I wanted to have you on so we could talk a little bit about our upcoming retreat that's coming up in September 10th through 13th for the Society of Women Trial Lawyers. So if you could just give me what you think the one-line promise of this retreat is. What is it going to change for a woman trial lawyer or paralegal who's attending?
Ooh, a good one sentence here. How about changing your inner world that will match your badass trial lawyer on the outside? So what we're aiming to do is to plug up any confidence issues, any authority issues, ability to communicate both non-verbally, unconsciously, and then also matching up with your conscious, intentional communication, which we're all skilled at, but what we're not skilled at is the other stuff. So that's the promise, is that we're going to level up your game.
I love it. I love it. I find that it's that inner game, which when you have it down, or at least when you've practiced it, it's kind of like an amplifier. You might have your message already, but when you've got that inner authority and that inner confidence, the message just gets amplified. It becomes electric, and that's, I think, what we all want as trial lawyers and advocates is to be electric and to be magnetic in the courtroom so that our clients get the best outcome possible. Um, I think one of the things that I'm most excited about, and I should go back, I should say that the title of this, unsurprisingly, is called Building the Badass Trial Lawyer from the Inside Out. That's the whole premise of the workshop. And I think let's talk a little bit more about what inside out means in practice in terms of confidence and presence and authority. What are the kinds of things that a lawyer can work on, or that we will be working on during the conference to help us with our confidence and presence and authority?
Sure, it's the general idea of being comfortable in your own skin. And I always like to say the feeling of being home, that you always feel home. And no matter what context, if it's in the courtroom, a high stress, high stakes environment, or literally being at home, waking up, you're in your jammies and, you're going to brush your teeth and that comfortableness that you have just doing that. You don't even consciously even think about that. But taking that same person that is totally comfortable at home with their family, with their friends, and being that same person in the courtroom. And that is really hard. It's hard. And it's hard if you don't have techniques, tools, practices that help you deal with the pressure of the day in the courtroom. And also, it's the social judgment. It's the judgment from the defense counsel's judgment from the jury, judge, your client, yourself, your internal freaking dialogue of judgment. And so, how do you deal with that? And we say, well, we just don't, be confident. Well, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. It's being home. And then how do you get there? And so that's what you're going to learn at our conference is the hows. It's specific tool sets in understanding our own processes to get ready for court, get ready for whatever life is affecting you and you're going to step into, and being totally okay, the feeling of okay, the feeling at home. So, I don't know of anything for lawyers that do that. And that's what we're going to be doing. It's training the inner lawyer so that you can be the high performer in the courtroom and actually enjoy it. That's something.
Sorry, my dog's
That's fine. My
old and
dog's fine.
cranky.
So,
I think that's so key though about actually enjoying it and working on the inner part of being a lawyer in practice. There's an analogy I've used a lot, but I really like it. And one of the things that I think helps us to draw out what is so different about this workshop, which is there's a lot of trial advocacy workshops and seminars that deal with the mechanics of it. Your voir dire, your closing, your opening. Those are all components of a strong trial case. But I liken it to being an F1 racing team, a race car team. And those workshops are important. They're building your vehicle. They're building your braking system. They're building your steering. They're building your aerodynamics. But you can't win a race without a driver.
yeah.
And so what I love about this workshop that we're going to be presenting is that we're really working and focusing on that driver. And we'll be giving them some tools too. I particularly love all you've got planned on helping us practice some of the actual practical tools, using this inner work to practice with those tools, with those components of our vehicle. But I love that we're starting this foundational workshop with working on the driver, because that's where it all starts, and that's the difference between winning and not winning is
Right.
is who's driving, and are you mentally prepared to give it your best, from that home position. It's really groundbreaking, I think, for
Yeah.
us to be able to give this opportunity to women. I also liked a lot of what you were saying about how we sometimes have our inner critic coming in to play, and that can affect our performance. And one of the pieces I'm really excited for us to present is breaking down limiting beliefs. Can you talk a little bit more about how limiting beliefs might be impacting our trial advocacy, and how we're going to be addressing that during the workshop?
Sure. Yeah. Inner beliefs are, we hear a lot of about that. And what I don't hear is where they come from and how to address them. How, and not even just address them. If you want to change them, then we can certainly do that. And you're going to be learning those skill sets at our seminar, but embracing them. So we fight, and we have a lot of shoulds. Us women folk, I think that's one of our favorite words is should. I should do this and I should do that and should take care of my kids and I should be have more time with the family. I work too hard and I shouldn't do that. Anyway, lots of shoulds. And so it's all resting on our belief system. So our belief system comes from way back in the day when we were little babies and little children, and how we were treated as little kids. Were we bullied? Did our teachers say something that you're not going to make anything of yourself? Or how did our parents treat us? And so all of those little beliefs generated and were created when we were most vulnerable. We did not have the skill set to deal at the time when we were 7 years old, 8 years old, of listening to these people that are brain. I mean, if you want to say brainwashing, it may be too strong, but it's true, a little bit of brainwashing and thinking about our interior abilities. So how we step out of that is interesting, because adults, we are not trained with the tools and the practices that are able to go back in time and change the beliefs so that we can change the dialogue, we can change the thought patterns. And so we have a dichotomy of lack of skills in training. So when we go back in our seminar, we're going to learn specific skills on how to kind of rewire our neurological system around what those beliefs are, and understand them, and then how to change them if we want to. And then also embrace what I like to call the shadow self. I didn't invent that. A famous psychologist in the 1800s. Oh, help me with this, Jess. Famous guy.
Mm, Is it Jung? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Gosh
Okay.
darn it. Just flipped right through out of my system here.
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't create that, but it's the shadow self. And what we tend to do is the fight against the shadow self, which is a part of us. And so once we find a wonderful, loving relationship with the shadow self, figuring out what it is, unconscious processes, unconscious beliefs,
Yeah.
then we can metabolize them and understand and love ourselves in a complete way. So going to get all those skill sets at our workshop. We're going to do our darndest. It's going to be, Jess, I'm worried. It's jam packed. It is
Yes.
jam packed.
It is. It
And
is.
so,
It is a bold agenda that we've put together, and we're gonna have to rock and roll. But one of the things that I love about it, particularly of caring for ourselves from the inside out, because that's an important part of it, right? Acknowledging not just the conscious but the unconscious, but also our physical selves as well. Because if you don't feel great, it's very hard to give your best to it. So one of the things I love is that we're starting every day with a rise and align practice, to really get ourselves present in the moments, in the mission for the day, in our bodies, and feeling good as a baseline. Um, what do you think is most exciting to you about having incorporated this movement and this rise and align practice? And tell a little bit more about what that's going to be like for folks.
Sure. So our rise at a line is really specifically designed. So you've heard about, well, meditation. What's the good about that? Yeah, it's good. I'll tell you in a second. Writing a journal. What's good about that? What about movement and what's good about that? So we're going to train a little bit. We're going to have variations for each of the 3 days to give you choices. So first of all, meditation is the idea of calming mind. Remember when I talked about comfort and confidence? So that's going to be your foundation for a lot of the practices that we're going to do, and the foundation for being the comfortable self, the authority, stepping in with authority. So authority comes from confidence. So if we're going to train the mind, that's part of it, but it's also training your neurological system to be in its parasympathetic state, which is the calm state, digestion, love, self-awareness, self-actualization, all of those goody stuff comes from that place. And so meditation is a foundational place for that and that training. So what you're doing is you're training your parasympathetic nervous system. And then you have a go-to when you're getting ready for trial. You have a practice already in place. That's very important to establish habits. Journaling is a wonderful thing to do, and we're going to have targeted things to journal. It's just not dumping your inner critic on a piece of paper using ink, and I'm going to dump all my little negative feelings out and on a piece of paper and then turn the page. We're going to have ways. One is going to be gratitude. You hear it, have gratitude journal. Well, that's specifically geared to your neurological system because it heightens your frequency and your vibration. You talked, Jess, about I don't, you said this words, but we're broadcasters and receivers of energy. And so we're going to touch a little bit about energy and how you transmit and communicate your energy to the jury and to the judge, to whomever. So gratitude upticks your frequency and your vibration. And plus it's energetically restoring to you and healthy and loving. And then, of course, movement, you've got to move the body. And so, you're an athlete, I'm an athlete. We've made our whole lives on moving, and I could not imagine my life not moving. It creates a lot of wonderful neurochemicals in your brain. It pairs well with the meditation and the gratitude. So, oh my gosh. So this is the trifecta that we're going to create. And so this hopefully will transition when everybody goes home and says, oh my God, this is the greatest seminar ever in life and I'm changed. Well, now we're going to give you tools to put this in a habitual way into your life. And so that's the plan. That's the master plan.
Yeah. It's so important to practice. And that's another thing that I think sets this seminar and this 3-day workshop apart is that we're going to be practicing what we're talking about in theory. We're going to be practicing it so that we have already started that habit together and we have been able to support each other in starting it, because it's overwhelming when you get back from an experience like this to be like, okay, well now I'm going to start. And it's all on you to take those first steps. But we're going to have those few days of practice together to really start to get a little bit of traction and have that habit already starting, so that the more that it's practiced, the more it becomes, like you said, a part of you, a part of your home. And it's most important also, like you said, trial when your stress is going to be amped up. When we're more stressed, the parts of our brain, our prefrontal cortex, etc., those get shut down.
Mhm.
And we need to reclaim our calm in order to access our full cognitive capabilities, our full advocacy capabilities. And so, what you don't want to happen is when you're stressed for you to forget the new things that you wanted to try. When I used to do a self-defense seminar for women, it would be a couple hours, women or, LGBTQ community or whatever. I said, this is really great. And we're going to be practicing all these techniques for a few hours. That's excellent. But it means nothing if you don't practice at home. Because when we're stressed, we go back to what we know,
Mhm.
and what we know is what we practice. And
Mhm.
if you haven't practiced, you're not going to remember, okay, oh, yeah, so someone grabs me like this and I put my hand here. It has to be automatic. And so what we're doing is we're starting that process for people to practice this kind of self-centering and engagement of our energy actually as a habit, so that it's there when we need it, not just in the everyday, but at times when we're being tested, it's still there because that habit has become a part of us. Um, I was talking with a behavioral scientist from the UK the other day, and he put it in this way, that we need to have ways to make ourselves calm enough to be creative, because it's that creativity that shuts down when we're stressed and when we're anxious. And so that idea of calm and practicing this, I think, also fits in really well with what you're talking about, is that's your home,
Right.
that you're at home, you're comfortable with yourself, you've developed this foundation of wellness and trust with yourself, and that is what allows you to be the magnetic advocate that you really want to be in that moment, as well as feeling more comfortable in that moment as much as you can. So I love that we're getting that practice in with the Rise and Align. And another part I'd love you to talk about is more practice. We're going to have badass labs. So tell me a little bit about what you're planning or hoping to for attendees to get out of from the badass labs.
Well, I think we're going to be a little flexible. So one of the things that I thought about doing is taking our morning sessions and our practice. For example, I'm going to teach a little bit about profiling, in self-profiling and then profiling others. So it's an absolute tool that you'll be able to use in your courtroom. I was planning to use it. I was supposed to start a trial yesterday and settled it the day before. So I was ready to profile my jurors coming in. So these tools that we're going to be teaching is inward tools, but it's also extremely powerful tools stepping into the courtroom or stepping into anywhere. Anyway, the point of that is the labs will help you put these things in practice. So I envisioned, haven't quite worked this out in my brain, and Jess, you'll have to help me with this, but when we go into our labs, and if we, for example, lunchtime, that's still part of our lab. When we step into lunch and we look around us, let's start seeing if we can profile the people around us that are eating lunch. We're all together, we're building our bonding time, but then we're going to look around to see, well, is this person an approval need person? Is this person a intelligent need person? So that's going to be very exciting. And so also you're going to be doing a lab, I think, of teaching us how to hit things and hit our opponents, and using your skill set for that. So
Yes,
I'm excited as heck as
clearly
that.
in the courtroom. Although it's there if you need it. No, I'm really excited. One of our badass labs is going to be a beginning boxing workshop, and it'll be non-contact, which means we're not hitting each other, but we will have mitts. and we'll learn how to throw a proper punch. I think everyone in the world should know how to throw a proper punch. It's great for self-defense, yes, but really it's great for your confidence
Right.
because there's something special that happens in your brain when you give yourself permission to throw a real punch,
Hmm.
to assert yourself in that way. And I saw it for years when I was teaching boxing at my gym in Philly. I've seen it with training partners. The real you comes out when you're throwing a punch. There is nothing that you can fabricate about it. You know, the way that you assert yourself in that way can be very telling, not just for others, but for yourself about how you feel about asserting yourself in that way, even if it's against an inanimate object like a mitt or like a heavy bag, that it is a way for you to reinforce in your brain that I am worthy of asserting myself and that this is basically a punch is a sentence, you know, from the bottoms of your feet where it starts all the way through the punctuation mark where it hits the bag or the mitt or the other person, although not during our workshop. That is an expression.
Hmm.
And the way that you do that and the way that you feel empowered to do that can really be a life-changing experience. So I'm really excited to be bringing that to all the women. We've got some special prizes and things that the women will be able to bring with them also to keep practicing as they desire. So that's a key part for me of making that body and mind connection and helping us really cement that assertiveness inside.
I love what you do, and I've done a little bit of that, very
Yeah.
little competing, but um, it's the connection. It's using the body to connect to your own power,
Mm.
and it bypasses the filters. So when you throw the punch, for me, it's lifting weights. It doesn't matter what the heck you're doing. It's the release of the mental chatter. It's getting out of your thinking brain into your body and connecting to something that's not verbal and not connected to inner critic, not connecting to limiting beliefs, everything that we were just chatting about. And it's also connected to Mother Earth. And I'll say more about that. I'm into grounding now. I'm just like all about grounding. I've got my feet on a grounding pad right now, and I sleep on grounding sheets. I can talk more about that at our seminar, but it's connected to the earth. It's connected through all the power that you have in your body, and then you're doing something with it. It's the same in the courtroom. There's no difference. It's connected to the power that you have and being able to release that power because you're choosing to do it. And so it's miraculous what you do, and the ability to convey a punch and be directed and do it right. You can see that it's just all about the body and our neurological system. And what we want to do at our seminar is release the power. Really, it's really getting rid of all the apps that have been running in the past in the background. It's all about releasing that dang inner critic and say, peace out. I just don't need you anymore. I'm going to step into my power. I am ready. And so you step up to do voir dire in that place. Think about how much more powerful those questions are. Think about how much freer you are to connect with your jury and actually listen to them and care about them. And so now we're going to direct your energy through your heart and be open to them and say, I want to hear everything that you have to say. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to judge you, because you begin with the inner place of, I'm not judging self. Gosh darn it, that I got shivers on that. It's just so freaking powerful. And in addressing that inner lawyer, you can have all the most wonderful voir dire questions. You know how to cross, all those good things. But if you don't have that sheer power and that love of self, and you're in your parasympathetic nervous system, it's not going to be performed well. It just isn't. And we don't address that enough in our profession. And you and we're going to address it. So, come if you want to deliver a powerful cross, deliver a powerful closing from the heart. Prepare so that you're calm always. And, I've spent the last month preparing for this dang trial, and I was reflecting on it, and I was calm. One time I can remember thinking, I can't do this anymore. I cannot. Am I worthy? Am I going into that narrative that we all have? I have it. I'm not perfect, but I got back into my skills. I said, it will be fine. And then I pressed forward and I calmed myself down. So that's the thing I'm talking about. It's not getting into a place of perfection. You ain't going to be perfect. But what do you got to go to say when stuff is bad and I feel anxious, I feel in fight or flight or collapse, collapse is a big one, then what do I do? Because we got to pull ourselves out. We got no other alternative. Clients are depending on us. Our practice is depending on us. I'm the rainmaker for this firm. If I don't eat or I don't bring folks in, they don't eat. So anyway, I can go off on tangents here, but that's the stuff that we'll be doing in our conference. So what you do is amazing. It's beneficial, and you think, oh my God, we're going to learn boxing. What's the point of that? Oh my God, it's a lot of points to it.
A lot of
So,
points.
well, yes. So come on,
Come
get your
on,
boxing self
we'll
on.
have some fun. Um, I love to so much of what you said connects on so many different levels. I think that a key part is when we're doing this activity, we are moving from outside in, how do I look? What are they thinking of me? To inside out. What can I do?
Mhm.
How am I acting? Like how can I affect this? And so having that come from that inside out place and focusing less on how I appear and more on what I can do. I think that's the trigger there, of the freeing trigger of being connected with yourself, so that you're no longer self-absorbed. You're not, oh, how do I appear? You're able to connect with others, and that's the key, right? To being present in that moment and presenting, so that you can make that connection. I'm so excited for this, and I was very lucky during the annual meeting to get to experience, briefly, some of the work that you do, in bringing us into connection with that kind of energy and connecting with others. And it was mind blowing the way that simply by tuning in to the woman standing next to me,
Like that one.
that we can feel what they are projecting.
Mhm.
And I had not experienced that before, and it was amazing to me that standing next to a woman and just tuning in, that everyone was able to articulate what the woman next to her had been putting out. So there's a lot of brain power and a lot of energy power that I think we just don't tap into. And so I'm so excited to be
Hmm.
learning more from you, to be able to help others to tap into that too during the workshop. Um, I wanted to be relatively quick today, so I think I wanted to have a few quick, like, practical answers for folks. I
Sure.
know originally this was only open to current Society of Women Trial Lawyers members. Um, Now it's open to any woman lawyer who wants to come, even in-house counsel. There are things that you can use here to help you connect with your internal clients and connect with a negotiating partner across the table. So I wanted to clear that up, for everybody. Um, And last thing that I'll ask you is if someone's on the fence about coming to the workshop, what do you think is your number one reason for them to register now for this rather than maybe waiting for something later or next year?
Yeah. So please register now. And I'll tell you because what you'll experience, and I do mean experience, you'll learn, but experience is life transformational. You will learn life skills. We are humans first, lawyers second. And we communicate through our humanness, not our lawyerness. And if you think that's not true, then come to this lab and you'll learn something different. If you want to elevate your communication skills and influential skills and your skills of persuasion, come to this seminar. This is foundational for that. We have plans for more of using these foundational skills and practices so that we can teach you to be more influential and persuasive. And so if you're planning for the future and thinking, well, how do I influence the jury and use hypnotic language patterns? How do I use energy to influence the folks around me, my clients? It's just not about the courtroom. Then come to this seminar. This is humans learning human skills that have direct application. We'll show you how to your profession. But it really should be all humans. But we're gearing this for the female lawyer because we're a special breed. Yeah. And I should say female paralegals. I mean, we have paralegals coming too. So whatever, we're all in this soup together, this law soup. And so we're gearing it toward that because we tend to tick up in our stress and our lives are busy and we're managing practices and families and everything else that we're doing. So it is geared toward that, but you'll learn powerful, powerful skills that you will be able to use right then and there that will make your relationships better. All relationships will make your relationship with self so much better. Who wouldn't want to experience that by two smart, intellectual people, you and me, but two people who do this for love. We're doing this out of care and love and betterment of our profession and betterment of you. And so we all have the right intention. Jess, I know you're a coach and do this and certainly have the interest of helping others in that way. I have interest in just helping us be better humans and developing relationships and improving our lives. That's kind of my legacy plan but whatever intention it is coming from here. And so you'll get the very best out of this. You'll have value. So enough pitching. Just come. Take the chance. It's only a lousy some money. You're supporting the Society of Women Trial Lawyers. And gosh darn it, I promise you it will be changed in a positive way. And you'll have support from us. So, and you're going to bond with your sisters. I mean, we have a relatively small group. This ticks me off. Let me share this, Jess. Oh, we're going to teach you the magic skills of cross-examination that nobody on the planet is going to know. We'd have 1,000 people signing up for that thing. How do you deliver the cross-examination? How do you step into your authority and confidence somehow is less valued? I don't. Help me understand that. I don't understand that. So we're going to teach you Martin Luther King. I always point to Martin Luther King, which is right here.
Yep.
You do the I am a dream speech, and you're not Martin Luther King. You ain't going to do such a great job. Unless you have it from here, unless you have the passion, unless you have the energy, unless you come from a soul level or energetic level, deep beyond. So that's the stuff that we're talking about. And to do a great cross-examination, Jerry, we just lost Jerry Spence this week or last week. To do a great cross-examination, how do you stand up and be comfy in yourself and come from a place that you choose to come from and do that cross-examination. That's what we're talking about. And those skills are tremendous value. So we can take cross and level it up. I could talk a long time. I'm going to be quiet. Bye.
No, I love it. And I was so glad you mentioned the community too, because my experience at even the annual meeting of the Society of Women Trial Lawyers is that I have never been in such a supportive community where everyone is just there to get better and help each other get better. So it's a really a magical environment to be in. And, if nothing else, this is also unprecedented. You will get 19 CLE hours by
Florida,
attending
not from
this.
Virginia.
Not for Virginia, but for Florida, they gave us 19 CLE hours. So if you need to sell it for expenses for your firm, you're going to get your credit hours there, all in a bunch. You're going to have a wonderful time with fellow supporting attorneys in beautiful Destin, Florida. You're going to learn life-changing stuff, and you're going to have some fun on the beach. So what could be worse? What could be better than that? So thank you so much, Bettina, for taking this time to share with everyone and share with me again a bit about why we're so excited to be presenting this next month. Just a couple of weeks, so there's not much time left to register and get your room, get your travel to the beautiful resort in Destin, Florida. All of the details will be in the show notes at the Society of Women Trial Lawyers websites so that you can register, and we really hope to see you there. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Legal Athlete Podcast. If today's episode fired you up or gave you something to train with, hit follow, leave a review, and share it with a fellow high achiever who's ready to raise their game. Want to bring this energy to your team, firm, or event? Or are you ready to train for your next high-stakes moment with me directly? Click the link in the show notes to connect. I'm Jess Sargis, and I coach the bold, lawyers, leaders, and anyone ready to lead their life with fierce agency. Green light. Let's go.